Tonight, 3 cases of the Omicron variant are now confirmed in Toronto, and more are under investigation.
It will probably be at least a week before we really have significant data.
Health officials say there's still a lot that's unknown about the new COVID-19 variant and are urging calm. Plus,
we've seen them be installed in the gas cap canister area, as well as the vehicle's towing system.
York Regional Police is sounding the alarm on a new trend in vehicle theft that involves Apple AirTags. And
the robot is basically weighs as much as a toddler, and it moves at a walking speed.
they're tiny and pink and deliver food across Toronto. Coming up, we'll tell you why the city is pushing for these robots to be taken off the streets. Good evening, I'm Farah Morali. Toronto Public Health is confirming its first cases of the Omicron variant tonight. And in Vaughan, a person under the age of 12 has tested positive. Suspected cases are under investigation across the GTA. Lorenda Redicop has the latest.
York Region officials say the child is from Vaughan, returned from the Southern African region on November 22nd, flying into Toronto with a family member, and has been isolating at home since.
Both the child who's screened positive was symptomatic, as well as the family member. The family member, as well as a third family member, is COVID positive. So 2 other people COVID positive. Their screening results aren't back yet.
York's medical officer says their symptoms are mild, not requiring hospitalization, with all close contacts isolating. Today, the health minister acknowledged there's still a lot we don't know about this variant.
We're learning more, but it will probably be at least a week before we really have significant data about the increased transmissibility of it, the virulence of it, and the effect of vaccination.
One infectious diseases doctor urges calm.
It's early days, but I think there is early indication that people who are vaccinated are at less risk of becoming sick enough to become hospitalized.
Toronto has confirmed 3 cases of the variant in 2 people who recently returned from Nigeria and 1 from Switzerland. Also, a suspected Omicron case at this downtown restaurant. A staff member who'd recently traveled to South Africa tested positive for COVID-19. It's now being further investigated. Public Health says it does not have access to a contact log. So it's asking anyone who was there last Friday or Saturday night from 9 p.m. on to get tested immediately and monitor for symptoms for 10 days, and to get tested if they develop symptoms, including mild ones, and self-isolate while awaiting test results. The owner says all other staff have tested negative. Today, Halton Public Health confirmed its first Omicron case and 2 more as probable, saying all 3 cases are linked with one of the probable cases that recently traveled to Nigeria. Meanwhile, the province says all inmates and staff at the Toronto East Detention Centre are being tested after a staff member was confirmed to have the variant and 4 inmates tested positive for the virus. In York Region, they expect to confirm this weekend if those 2 other positive cases are also the Omicron variant. The medical officer urges people to get vaccinated. Lorenda Redicop, CBC News, Toronto.
They're a popular Apple device used to track items like keys. But tonight, York Regional Police is warning the public that AirTags are being used by would-be thieves to target luxury cars. It says the tracking devices are being placed on vehicles when they're in public places, which allows them to track the car to the owner's home, where they can steal it. Dalia Ashri has more.
To be honest, we are terrified, but we are not sleeping.
A week of sleepless nights for this Waterloo woman and her family. It started last Friday when Binur Galarius was in and out of the house running errands.
When we got home, after a while, we got a notification saying that there's an unknown device detected around us. And after that, another pop-up window saying that, showing that a map which shows the routes we were at.
That notification was from an AirTag that was placed on her luxury car, a device that York Regional Police says is part of an emerging trend in vehicle thefts. When placed on a car, it can be tracked remotely, so a thief can pinpoint its location. In just the past few months, York Regional Police says it's seen 5 cases of vehicle thefts involving these tracking devices.
It's using GPS and Bluetooth technology and they're using that to install on different vehicles that they're looking to steal. And then by using an iPhone, they can always tell where the vehicle's location is.
The small devices about the size of a toonie is an Apple product. York Region Police says thieves are using them to target luxury cars.
We've seen them be installed in the gas cap canister area, as well as the vehicle's towing system in the trailer hitch.
Galaria says she believes the AirTag tracking device is still on her car.
Okay, so your car has been at the workshop for how many days now?
2 days.
Where did they end up finding the device on your car?
They haven't found it yet.
In a statement to CBC, Apple says it takes customer safety seriously and is committed to AirTag's privacy and security. But it didn't answer questions about what someone like Galarius can do when they can't even find the device. York Police says to prevent vehicle theft in general, if possible, park in a locked garage, use a steering wheel lock, install a lock on the data ports, consider purchasing security cameras, and inspect your vehicle regularly. As for Galarius, she says she contacted Apple but was told they are unable to disable the device unless they're given a serial number, something she hasn't been able to find. She says police are still investigating, but meanwhile, she plans on selling the car.
The car is gone now. Like, it will never come back to our house.
She hopes her story will serve as a warning to others. Dahlia Ashry, CBC News, Toronto.
Residents at a Thorncliffe Park apartment building haven't had mail delivery in almost 2 months. Canada Post says it's because not enough people inside the building are wearing masks, and their employees don't feel safe going in. Building residents say they're being unfairly punished for the actions of only a few people. Ali Chiasson has the story.
We should not be punished for a few people who are not wearing masks.
Canada Post suspended mail delivery to 43 Thorncliffe Park Drive on October 18th. They deemed it unsafe for their delivery workers over a lack of mask compliance inside the building.
So feel bad as a Canadian citizen. I'm discriminated living in this building.
So for the last 6 weeks, residents have had to commute 3 kilometers away to this Canada Post facility to get their mail. There's no direct bus route to get there, so seniors and people with mobility issues are being disproportionately affected by this.
Some is wheelchair, some is scooter. Is difficult. For seniors, really difficult.
There's also a tight window when you can actually pick up your mail.
Noon to 3 p.m. If somebody is working, if I'm working during the day, I cannot go there.
It's totally unfair, and you have seniors here who are not receiving the checks on time. You have people with disabilities who cannot access their mails. You have single mothers and people who don't have access to any personal transportation who are left in the lurch.
Like the residents, MP Rob Oliphant is
outraged that this is taking so long.
He says he's tried to work with Canada Post to find a better solution in the meantime, instead of making residents travel all that way.
I've requested temporary emergency mail delivery truck that can go out there and people can receive the mail on the spot as opposed to having to go to a delivery depot.
He says he was told those were reserved for emergencies. Local councillor Jay Robinson says her suggestions are being shot down too, like allowing postal workers to deliver via the service elevators.
And there's been no take-up on that offer, which again is really frustrating that Canada Post can't find a workaround or a creative solution for these residents.
It would be hard to find any building in Toronto that's 100% mask compliant. So why this building? That's one of the many questions we had for Canada Post. They sent a statement reiterating, quote, "We take the temporary suspension of mail delivery and the well-being of our employees seriously. Our goal is always to find a resolution as quickly as possible in these situations." The residents at 43 Thorncliffe Park haven't had their mail delivered in a month and a half. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Meteorologist Colette Kennedy joins us now with a first look at the forecast. Colette, nice to see some of that sun today, but boy, did it feel chillier than yesterday.
Yeah, big changes there with our daytime high, a struggle really. So a little below seasonal, 2 degrees. And look at some of the areas like Peterborough and Barrie, where that daytime high, nation's capital too, didn't even climb up to the freezing mark. So definitely cooler. And we saw that cloud deck building in later in the day after some of that earlier sun. We have a system that's going to whip through pretty quickly. It's an Alberta Clipper because they do move pretty quickly, and Alberta because they tend to kind of get themselves together once they get in the lee of the Rockies. So that's what's coming through. It means a little bit of light, wet flurry activity into the GTA early tomorrow. In the afternoon, there will be some areas highly localized, but seeing with some strong westerly winds, some setups of some squalls. However, it's less likely that any of those flurries will make their way, or they'd be almost like rain showers by the time the temperature warms up into the city, but it's possible. So know that there's a slight risk into the afternoon. -2 tonight with that wind chill factor in the morning, and tomorrow, although breezy, 5 degrees, and we will get some sunshine coming through once we get that Clipper out of here. Farah?
Thanks, Colette. Peel Regional Police are investigating hateful graffiti that was sprayed on a plaza in Brampton this week. Slurs and offensive slogans were spray painted on a building near Queen East and the Gore Road. The building houses a Khalsa Montessori school. The premier condemned the graffiti in a tweet today. The principal of the school doesn't think the facility was specifically targeted, but he says staff are talking to students about what happened. Well, you may have seen them in and around the downtown core, little robots that deliver food in the area, but they could soon be pulled off the streets. Lisa Shing explains why.
They're small and pink, making food deliveries around downtown Toronto. But people living with disabilities say robots like Jeffrey are a hazard.
There's the risk that they will collide with us. There's the risk that they can become a tripping hazard for people with disabilities.
Take this instance. One of the robots tipped over near Yonge and Dundas Square. That could be an obstacle. So to avoid these situations, the city's accessibility committee has recommended these micro-utility devices be banned and opt out of a provincial pilot allowing remote-controlled vehicles on sidewalks.
We don't need to be the early adapters here. Let them, somebody else sort it out. But for now, what we need to do is focus on pedestrian safety and prioritize public safety.
But the creator of Jeffrey says the robot has sensors and its fleet of 20 haven't been in any collisions yet. And he also says they could eventually reduce congestion and pollutions because they could replace cars.
The robot is basically weighs as much as a toddler, and it moves at the walking speed. And it also have a great collision avoidance systems.
He also says these robots are the way of the future and the city should embrace that.
I think it's also a study for entrepreneurship, because we have an environmental crisis, and we need to empower entrepreneurship. We need to try to find solutions.
Council will vote on whether to ban these robots December 15th. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. Just days before the CFL's Eastern Conference final, the host Toronto Argonauts find themselves embroiled in a controversy. Their starting quarterback violated the league's COVID protocols last night, putting his eligibility to play in Sunday's big game into question. Greg Ross explains what happened.
It was a seemingly innocent interview during TSN's broadcast of the Raptors game last night.
Playoffs, it's all about being clutch. It's about being your best at the right time, and that's my job as a quarterback.
Argos quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson there with his daughter talking about the Argos playoff game Sunday. Only one problem. The CFL's COVID protocols prohibit its players from attending large sporting events.
I just found out about it, early this morning.
Argos head coach Ryan Dinwiddie says his quarterback only went to the Raptors game to promote the Eastern Final, and the appearance was actually set up by someone from the Argos front office.
I just know it was a protocol violation for him to go to the game and do the interview. Even though it was a brief appearance, he was just there for the first half just to do the interview. That's what he went there for.
According to the league's protocol, Bethel Thompson should now be required to quarantine for 4 days, which would make him ineligible for Sunday's game. Today, the league sent out a statement saying they're only going to make the Argos QB quarantine for 2 days.
That's good news. I think I'll sleep better at night. You kind of get a little pit in your stomach when you find out what happened, and you feel horrible for the kid.
It's hard to blame the Argos for wanting to promote the fact they're hosting the Eastern Final Sunday. The team isn't exactly the talk of the town these days. Do you know there's a big game happening on Sunday just over there?
No, I don't.
BMO Field.
TFC?
Not TFC.
Rugby?
Not rugby.
Not sure then.
The CPL game, Canadian Premier League final.
No, I'm not talking about that game. The Argos.
Oh, the Argos game. Yeah, no, I never knew.
Did you know that the game was happening Sunday?
I didn't. I knew it was happening. I didn't know if it was Sunday.
This sports marketing instructor at York University says the Argos have been falling out of favor with sports fans in the city for decades.
The city has changed in terms of its psyche, in terms of the people that are in it, in terms of just general market factors that in a lot of ways, this market, I think, has moved past the Argonauts. The Argonauts product is not something that resonates with a lot of people, especially new Canadians.
As for Bethel Thompson, he is not entirely out of hot water just yet. The league says before he is cleared to play in that game on Sunday, he needs to provide proof of a negative PCR test from today, another one from tomorrow, and he also has to show a negative rapid antigen test before that game on Sunday. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
You are looking at a live shot of downtown Toronto, a cloudy night in the city. 0 degrees right now, but it feels closer to -5 with the wind chill. Let's go back to Colette now for a look at your extended forecast. Colette, for those hoping to get outside, maybe do some holiday shopping this weekend, sounds like we're in for a bit of a mixed bag in the weather department.
Yeah, Farah, we have a couple of things going on. The system, as I was talking about earlier in the show, that goes through tomorrow isn't going to be as big of a deal, and it's going to move pretty quickly on through. But we'll still see some flurries, especially in the morning hours for the city. But Sunday, it'll be a storm that has a little more impact, a little bit stronger. It may start off as a bit of a mix or some light wet snow, but then as our temperatures warm, and they will be spiking Monday morning, that's when we're going to find it turning into more of a rain event. So there are going to be some wet conditions, probably early Sunday. You're going to do okay, and Saturday afternoon doing pretty well then too, I think timing wise in terms of getting out and about. I do want to just show you, so some streamers possibly setting up as we get into some breezy conditions tomorrow afternoon after the morning flurries with that system moving through. But let's get a load and take a closer look at this one that's coming for Sunday. So the warm front, ahead of that warm front, meaning not quite into the warm sectors where we start off with some of those flurries or the bit of light snow into Sunday, later afternoon into the evening. But then we'll pretty rapidly get into the warm sector. A note, though, for anyone traveling or into eastern Ontario, some freezing rain and mixed precipitation there, and more significant snowfall where there are some advisories, 15 to 25 centimeters possible there. Becomes that rain event for us, stronger winds, the temperature going up overnight Sunday into Monday, and Monday we could hit double digits. I've got us at 10 degrees for that daytime high. So it won't last long, though. The cold front will go through and those temperatures will start to fall off. Speaking of falling off, -5 London and Sarnia overnight tonight. A nice looking day, though, tomorrow, though you'll have some breezy conditions. You'll have quieter conditions, though, than what we'll be seeing with that clipper going through around the Golden Horseshoe. Again, mostly in the afternoon, I think we'll be into drier conditions here. It's where you get the effect of the lake with that westerly wind where you could see the changing conditions if you're on the roadways. Sunday, 4 in the afternoon, but look what happens. Yes, it's going up overnight and then significantly so into Monday. That 10 degrees turns everything into some rain, and then the cold front goes through, and we're going to notice that one with the daytime high below freezing for even us on Tuesday, Farah.
Thanks, Colette. It was a joyful morning here at CBC Toronto with a special edition of Metro Morning underway as part of our annual Sounds of the Season fundraiser. Instead of the usual large crowd, the show went live in front of a small group due to the pandemic. Many of them were frontline heroes, nominated to attend by friends and family. Here are some of the highlights.
I'm so excited to be back. We come every year since Madison was 5 and now she's 18. So we had to miss last year, of course, like everybody, and it was just a thrill to be invited to be back.
I think just being here, just everything, it's just how we start our holiday season, so anything I'm happy to see.
Just the experience of being in person, you know, you hear it on the radio every day, and it's just a different experience, get to see how the magic happens, you know?
Well, I'm excited because I want to be part of this program, Song of the Season, to help people understand and aware of the need.
Live from Glenn Gould's studio, it's Sounds of the Season on CBC Radio 1.
That is the sound of a live audience with us this morning. We have some live music for you as well.
People wake up in the middle of the night and they come down here to see and hear you and be part of this thing. It's awesome.
In the audience are dozens of frontline workers and volunteers.
It's been challenging, but it's also been hopeful watching everybody get vaccinated and seeing our numbers go down.
I cannot describe the feeling of just getting up in the morning knowing that I'm going to be able to sing for people.
Going to a food bank, sometimes in our society, it can be looked down upon, and that there is no shame on going and using food banks. It's a services that is for us to use.
We got to live together. I am no better, and neither are you. We're all the same, whatever we do.
How was it to be here in person at the show today?
It was amazing.
It was our first time.
Yeah. So it was honestly a little bit bigger than I expected, and then it was awesome because everyone came together. I feel like it's amazing just to see how everything is put together. You don't really have that perspective when you are just watching on TV or just listening by radio.
It feels weird because you're typically in my bathroom. So to be here is just so much fun. It's actually our second time.
It's amazing. We really missed not being here last year. So I'm really happy for the CBC and for myself personally.
It's pretty special.
You guys were nominated to be here. I nominated him. Yep, he's an RN at Michael Garrett.
It's a special experience, and I am very grateful.
And you can still do your part this holiday season to support food banks across the GTA. CBC Toronto Sounds of the Season fundraiser is working with the Daily Bread Food Bank. For more information on how you can help, go to our website at cbc.ca/SOTS. So far, we've raised over $332,000 and more than 150 pounds of food. And that is our show for you tonight and for the week. Thank you so much for watching. Shannon Martin has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I'm Farah Morali. Have a great weekend, everyone.